Ty, are you there? Ty?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I just was checking my sound. Since I have no one else to check it with at the moment. Thank you.
No problem.
I'm gonna mute myself and turn the camera off. But thank you for getting back. Or responding, whatever's correct.
No problem at all, Jerry.
Good evening, Mr. Shames. Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yes, you have, the problem is that we can mute ourselves and we don't sometimes remember how to unmute ourselves.
Well, I was just practicing being a French mime, so
Oh, well, you did very well. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Good.
Can't get out of this box.
I have a suggestion for you, how to get out.
Yeah.
Turn it off, go outside and scream 3 times in the street.
Oh, if only that had worked.
It works until your neighbors call and then they take you away.
Hey,
Please
listen,
go outside the district to do that. I don't want any phone calls about it.
All right, Ty, you win.
well, then I won't scream because I'm not going outside the district.
All right, I'm going to mute my mic because at this point, we don't seem to be.
Yes. Well, hello to everybody, and I'm going to mute my mic as well.
Before I go, hello, Glenn, welcome home.
He's practicing to be a French mime too.
Ah, but he starts out with an advantage. He
Well, yes,
was he
yes,
was in France.
he has many advantages over me, but I'll try to keep up. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, Glenn, I said hello and you didn't answer me, but that's okay. Welcome home.
Say, okay, that's proper.
Hi,
whatever.
everybody.
Yeah, but. Yeah, but.
Hey, Glenn. As I said, welcome back to Brooklyn.
Yesterday we
I
talked,
thought you might have
and
said
I
something. I
also
couldn't hear you.
took a call. And I said, you know, at this point.
Thank
I
you.
have to say.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening, Daniel. Good evening, Alec.
I think this might be a bit better attended than our July meeting. Already. The magic of Zoom.
Alec, how many people came to the July meeting?
I think we had 4 members of the committee.
This was at 250 Baltic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we had 4 members of the committee and 4 members of the public. 3 of whom were, connected to the landmarks applications themselves.
Folks, as I've already advised David, I have a conflict at 7, so I'm going to have to sign off, but I can stay on until then.
Thank you, Daniel. And in that spirit, I just want to say that we're already at a quorum. I saw David just logged on. So if we want to move forward, that's up to the chair's discretion.
Is that me?
You're the chair.
Wow.
Have
I
you
have
forgotten
discretion. I feel empowered. Well, how many people we got here, Si? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We have 10 committee members. We're just at quorum.
Oh, really? 10 is a quorum now?
Yes, the count that Mike and I did yesterday is we have 18 committee members. So 10 puts us
Okay.
at quorum.
Do we have the applicant here?
I believe they are.
Yes, I am here.
Okay. And is that, I heard a voice. Is that Margaret or Natalia?
This is Margaret Hugh. I'm representing CWB Architects.
Okay. Hi. So Natalia, you are the owner?
I'm also from CWB Architects with Margaret.
Okay. All right.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. All right. Well, look, let's get started. So 231 Baltic Street, Certificate of Appropriateness, application to replace existing brownstone-stucco balustrade at the stoop and front yard with a cast iron railing, reconfigure the front yard by relocating the steps, rebuild and extend the existing rear extension, and install solar panels and a deck and a bulkhead on the roof. Just in terms of protocol, you go ahead and present. The committee will ask questions. I will call on committee members and then they'll ask you the questions and you can respond to them. But otherwise, if there's a dialogue between the committee members, you shouldn't interrupt it unless during that dialogue someone asks you for clarification. Okay? All right.
Sounds good.
Take it away. Ty, are you sharing the screen or is Margaret?
I'm sharing my screen. So let me
Okay.
know if you all can see that.
That's good.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, good evening, everyone. Today we're going to be presenting the work proposed for 231 Baltic Street. This is a row house on the north side of the street between Court and Clinton. And it is a house that was originally built sometime in the 1850s in the early Italianate/Greek revival style. What we're proposing to do can be separated into 3 parts. The first one being the front facade, the second one being the rear facade, and then the third being the roof. So I'm gonna give a brief overview of the property and then start with the front facade. On this first sheet, if you can see my mouse on the right side, this is a tax photo from the 1940s. This is the one from the 1980s, not too clear. And then this is the current day photo. And the last one.
Sorry, Margaret. Did anybody just lose the connection for a minute? Or is that just me?
I think that's just
Okay.
you, Dave.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
we're getting it.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead, Margaret. I'm sorry.
Okay, please do stop me if you can't hear or see what I'm presenting. The last photo here is the existing rear facade with rear extension. So I'll get into all of these pieces a bit more. I'm seeing that Madeline raised her hand. Should I stop?
No, you just keep presenting. I'll take questions at the end.
Okay. Okay, well, this is a block plan showing the donut, and as you can see, the donut already has quite a few extensions in it. Our property is right here, with showing the existing rear extension. In this axon diagram on the right side, you can see what we're proposing to do to the rear facade, which is extend the rear extension further an additional 10 feet. And then at the roof, we are proposing to add a solar panel array, which is this tilting rack shown in the dashed line, and then a stair bulkhead, which is this piece over here. Additionally, behind the bulkhead, there will be a small deck, which will have a railing around it. And towards the end, we have mock-up photos that are in place right now. I'm gonna skip over this because it's not too descriptive, but I'm happy to jump back to it if anybody would like. So this is a photo of the current front facade, and largely what we're proposing to do here is just restore the current facade. So at the cornice, we would clean, repair, and repaint, and then at the masonry, we would repoint as needed. For all the brownstone pieces, and that includes the window sills, lintels, the door surround, the stoop, and the base at the garden level, we would resurface that brownstone. All of the front windows we're proposing to replace, and I'll show a window detail a bit further on. The most significant thing that we're proposing to do here is to replace this brownstone railing at the stoop and the brownstone quote unquote gate at the front with a cast iron railing, which is what most of the houses down this block have. And then the other thing that we're proposing to do is to alter the areaway a bit. So these are photos of the existing condition, and you can see in these lower two photos that the windows are in poor condition, the brick mold is rotted. And then the upper two photos show the areaway. So currently the steps going down from the sidewalk level to the garden level are close to the stoop. And I'll show where we're proposing to move it. So you can see here in this photo, this brownstone railing and fence. These are line elevations of the existing condition and the proposed. This drawing actually shows two options specifically for the windows. On the right side, we're showing 1/1 lights for all the double hung windows. And on the left side, we're showing 2/2. And this is something that we will be discussing with Landmarks because we prefer the 2/2 as we feel that that is more in keeping with the style of the house. However, we don't have photographic evidence to support that it ever had that. So we will defer to Landmarks to see what they recommend doing there. As far as the brownstone railing and fence replacement, what we're proposing to do can be seen in this line drawing. I'm going to jump for a second to these precedent photos. This is 2 doors down at 227 Baltic Street. We're using this as a precedent because the decorative pieces of the ironwork are Greek Revival and seem more in keeping with the original style versus the one directly next door, which you can see at the edge of this right side photo, which are just straight bars and kind of more modern. We would like to retain the Greek Revival characteristic of the house. So this is what we're looking to replicate. And much like 227 has this articulation at the side of the brownstone stoop, once we remove the brownstone railing at the stoop, we would replicate this articulation at the side. This front yard also has a cast iron railing enclosure with a fence. And that is something that we are also proposing to do to locate the fence at the center of the front yard and have the fence closed in on either side of that. So then walking in through that front fence is where we are proposing then to step down into the areaway. And so the existing areaway is concrete, and we are proposing to replace that with bluestone quarried paving. And on either side of the steps, we would add planted areas done in brownstone. So that captures the work at the front facade. This shows the proposed windows on the right side. This is existing, it's 1/1. And on the left side, we are suggesting to do 2/2, but again, we will discuss this with landmarks. Okay, moving on to the rear scope of the work. These are photos of the existing rear facade. You can see that the masonry is completely painted over and is in poor condition. We don't believe that this rear extension is original. So what we're proposing to do is to remove the rear wall and the roof of the extension and keep the sidewalls and then build that out another 10 feet. And then we would clean, repair, and repaint the upper 2 levels. So these are more photos of the existing condition. You can see that the paint is starting to peel away in some areas. So we would scrape all of that, repair, repoint, and then repaint at the upper levels only. On the left side is the line elevation of the proposed rear facade. So we would do a large opening at the garden floor and the parlor floor that would feature sliding stained wood doors. So the outer 2 doors would slide towards the center. The center 2 would be fixed. Since this brick would be new, we are proposing to leave it as exposed brick. And then at the upper levels where we are cleaning and repointing, we would then repaint the existing brick because having looked at the brick, we believe that is not in great condition to retain, so we would repaint it. At the sides of the rear extension, we are suggesting that the brick continues and be, again, exposed brick. These are photos showing neighboring rear extensions in our donut. So this is our property 231. This is next door. There is another extension. And then at 227, there is an extension that goes out 18 feet. So this is close to what we are proposing to do, as our extension existing is 8 feet, and then we're going out another 10 feet. On the other side, looking east, this is our property right here in the corner. And then 2 doors down, again, there is another long 2-story extension at the rear. This is a rendered elevation, just explaining that the masonry here is proposed to be left as exposed brick, and then above we would be painting it. And the windows would be replaced. Here we are proposing to do 2/2 double hung. And then at the center, we would like to do a tilt and turn unit. This is showing that there will be some work done at the rear yard, new paving, bluestone, with steps leading up to the existing rear yard level and plantings surrounding the perimeter. And then the last area of work is at the rooftop. The lower plan shows the existing roof. There are 2 skylights and some exhausts penetrating the roof. There there are 2 chimneys belonging to us and then 2 belonging to the neighbor. We are proposing to eliminate one of our rear chimney since we will no longer need that. And then the upper plan shows the proposed plan, which is a large PV array on a tilting rack. Behind that would be our condensing units. And then there is an angled stair bulkhead that would allow stairs to lead up to the rooftop. And then we are showing a small deck area with railing around it. And none of this would be visible from the public right away. We had a mock-up constructed and it is on site right now at the rooftop. These photos are taken from this corner of the roof. This is the front of the house at Baltic Street. The second photo is taken from the neighbor's roof on the side, and then the third is taken from the back. So this structure is showing the solar panel array, and it is tilted, which is why it's coming up this high, but it's not solid. And then this piece right here is showing the railing surrounding this deck area, and then this angled piece is the proposed stair bulkhead, also seen in this photo. So these are photos taken down the street, walking down Baltic Street. Number 4 is looking straight on. I'll zoom into these photos. Number 4 is looking straight on, and you can see that none of those pieces are visible. And then looking at it from this side, again, no piece of that is visible. This is going towards Clinton Street. And then moving towards the Court Street side, this is our property right here. Again, no part of that is visible. And that summarizes what we would like to do there. So I'll open it up for any questions if anybody has any.
Before we do that, Margaret, I have a couple points of clarification.
Sure.
And Ty, maybe you can help me out with this, but I don't believe the windows are part of your application to us. Is that correct?
They should be. Part of the front facade work does include replacing the windows. Maybe that wasn't explicitly stated. But yes, we are proposing to replace all the windows.
No, I know that, but that's usually done at staff level. It's not on the public meeting notice. If it's presented as informational, that's fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ty.
I didn't, it wasn't clear to me that the windows were going to be reviewed as part of this. Certainly we can have an opinion on them.
Sure.
And treat it as such.
Well, I guess what I'd like to do with this, let's vote on the notice, and then if we want to render an opinion on the windows, that's fine. I'd just like to separate those two out because that's how it's presented to us by Landmarks. The second thing, Margaret, is you didn't wrap the entire bulkhead in the orange, which is pretty explicitly described in our memo. Any reason why you didn't do that? Why did you only go halfway up?
Are you talking about this part?
Go to the third photo.
This one right here, or this?
This one, yeah.
This is actually the solar array.
I know.
And yes, we had a contractor put up this mock-up, and the last part was the orange netting, and I think that they felt, because I don't know if they ran out of the orange netting, but because when I took photos from street level, I wasn't able to see any of the framing. We didn't ask them to return.
Well, so going forward, I mean, that's not really a good excuse. It's incumbent on you as the applicant to make sure everything's wrapped in orange. It's for the committee's benefit, not because the contractor ran out of whatever.
Okay, understood.
And then the third question I have is the solar array in its location been approved by the fire department?
In this location, we have not presented it to the fire department. We are showing, I'm going to go back to the roof plan. This is the 6 foot by 6 foot FDNY landing that we're allowing for them. And then We have not shown this to the FDNY yet.
Okay, I think that's important for the committee to know. Okay, I'm going to start at the top. Jerry, take it away.
Sorry it took so long. I had to unmute myself. Let's, I think David, before I start with questions, just a comment. We usually don't do windows, pardon the pun. But anyway, looking at the back, if you can go to the rear facade, right there, that's perfect. Usually when you see a brownstone in the back, the demarcation, and you can see it on the upper two floors, is very clear between the third floor, second floor, and the top floor, where the windows are. There's enough space that you really know it's the separate floors. If you take a look here at the demarcation and the break between on the basement level and the parlor floor, it looks very narrow. Can you tell me how wide that is? So it would look like we're talking two floors and not really just one huge room, or one, trying to make it look like a one space. In other words, I think the demarcation, the break between these two floors is very skimpy.
You're referring to this part where my
Yes.
arrow is pointed? Yes. So this is a spandrel piece between the fenestration, and it is this door unit goes up to the ceiling on the garden level, and then it continues at the floor level on the parlor floor above.
Which is exactly my point, that that it's not really trying to show a break between floors. You're trying to pretend it's one floor, one huge window.
I don't think that we're pretending that it's one, that there's no break there. We're acknowledging that there is a break there by having that unit end and then having the spandrel panel in between. And then there is a small deck that continues at that level to bring you down to the rear yard. So we've done this before. Are you suggesting that you have seen where there's masonry that continues between?
No, I'm not saying masonry. The spandrel could be a little wider top to bottom, I think, because it is, after all, a four-story building. And it would be nice to show the separation between each floor a little, and on these two. My other question at the moment is, you did not mention the size of the roof deck.
The size of the roof deck, do you mean the part surrounded by the railing? It's 10 feet by 10 feet.
Okay, and just give me one moment. And you talked about, now on the top of the new extension, is that also a deck?
It is a green roof. It's not meant to be habitable. It's
Okay.
only meant for someone to come out and service the green roof.
Which explains why that, as you explained, the center window or
Right.
access panel was not a door. I was
Yeah.
just trying to clarify it in my own mind.
Yeah.
That's all I have right now, David. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could put your hand down, that'd be great. Glenn?
Yes, thank you. If we are going to make a comment on windows, I would support the 2/2 over the 1/1. And my question is about the front areaway. Is there any precedent on the block for a recessed areaway?
That is a good question. We have several photos of the houses going down the block. I don't know specifically offhand, without referring to those photos, whether they do, but if the questions continue, I'm happy to look at that at the side and then try to pull up some additional photos.
I don't have any problem with that. I'm just curious because it is something that's come up in the past. With regard to the mock-ups and speaking to David's point that, you know, perhaps they're not complete, I'm not concerned that any of this would show. It's all sort of lower than is typical. We don't have the typical full height door up at the roof. So I'm not worried at all that any of this is going to show from the public way. That's all I have.
Thank you, Glenn. Yeah, thank you. Joanna?
Hi, I had a few questions. One was about the 6/6 windows that were shown on the rear extension. And I couldn't remember whether they were on the top floors as well. Just curious if the owner considered using those in the front, if they are in some way historic.
Well, we noted that at the garden level, the windows were 1/1 and also at the top floor the same. So there was some disjoint between the patterning of the windows. And so if we do 2/2 at the front facade, we would like to continue that proportion at the rear and also have it speak to the proportion of the lights at the lower levels.
I guess I was asking if maybe the front was originally 6/6, if there's, but I don't know what kind of documentation you found.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a good question. We did not find any evidence of it ever being 6/6. And then looking at neighboring front facades, it seemed like the designation report called out one of the houses as being a particularly good example. And that house had 2/2 windows, which is why we like that as well.
Okay. My other questions were about the fence in front. You mentioned you were considering building some brownstone planters behind the iron fence. And I just couldn't, I wanted to get a better visual on how high those planters are going to be and just like why we're opening up the yard to then put more brownstone in it.
I see, yes. So below the proposed cast iron fence, we would do a brownstone little curb on which that fence sits. And that would be the same level at which the planters would continue forward. So it wouldn't raise any higher than this height.
Thank you. Yeah, I was trying to picture that. And then just a kudos for trying to get the solar going. I always like to support solar projects, even in historic districts. And just to consider about that FDNY clearance, we have, I believe, approved some full canopies, even in districts. So if that becomes a requirement, it's not a deal breaker necessarily.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. If you could remember to put your hand down. Maddie? Maddie, where'd you go?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I have a problem with I like the cast iron fence and the railings. I think that's really great. I have a problem with the location of the gate in the fence because all those brownstone houses, and I've owned a couple in my time, they're either at one end or the other of the areaway. They're never in the middle. And also, in most cases, I agree with Joanne, and I mean with Glenn, the areas are not, deeper than the surrounding area. You just don't find that normally in these areas. But kudos for the cast iron railings and fences.
Maddie, can I ask you to elaborate a bit on the elevation of the areaway?
The areaways are usually level with the sidewalk, or maybe a couple of inches. They're not deeper.
I see.
I mean, if you look at your neighbors, they're, you know, just about where yours are now. There's not steps going up and down. Except like when you go into the, underneath the stoop.
I see. Thank you for clarifying. Yes, I
mean, that's typical of row houses.
I would like to look at photos that we have of the other houses down this street and understand a little bit more about what you described. I know we've done work on other houses in the neighborhood where there have been existing gates at the center and we've replaced them because they were in poor condition. But it seems like you're saying that they're not centered. So that's something that we would definitely look into.
Okay, thank you.
And just for clarification, we have approved a lot of recessed areaways. It's a logical improvement to provide better access underneath the stoop.
Agreed. Thank you. Ariel, are you there? You're muted.
Oh, two quick questions. One, I just was wondering if you had actual conversations with your two next door neighbors about the 10-foot extension in the rear yard, just so that they're fully aware and okay with it?
Well, no, we haven't. We will let the homeowner reach out to the neighbors. At the moment, I don't believe that they have, but they do plan to do that.
That's
wait, hold on. Ty, isn't that a requirement that we?
Yeah, we did. I did give them the full 50 feet and also asked them to notify the neighbors directly next door and on the block that abuts the back of the rear yard as well.
We did.
So Mark,
we did leave them notices informing them of this community board meeting and the presentation of the work, but we personally did not reach out to them by email or by phone. We left the note for them.
that was just my concern is that, you know, you see a community board meeting but not realize that there's a direct impact on their rear yard. It would be nice to make sure that they're, you know, it's a neighborly thing to do, and it should be done early on, I think.
I'm sorry, Ariel. I just want to. So, Margaret, when were these notices left?
They were done. Let me see.
Would have been a week ago, David.
Yeah, I spoke with Ty about it and took photos the day that we posted the signs on the light poles. That was the same day that I left it for all the neighbors.
Left it, like slid it under their door and put it in their mailbox or something?
Yeah, where there was a mail slot, I put it in the mail slot. Where there was not, I just kind of wedged it in the door or under the door.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, go ahead, Ariel.
Yeah, and my point being just that somebody might see the a written notice but not fully understand the impact. So that's why I would hope that you would reach out directly to your neighbors. Yeah, that was it. Oh, and I for the record, unless they're full true, which I don't think they even make any more 2/2, I'm in favor of the 1/1. Right.
You all set, Ariel? Okay. Thank you. Jerry?
I guess based on the last series of the last questions from Ariel, I find it a bit surprising that neither you nor the owner of 231 has not reached out to their neighbors to let them know what's going on a personal basis. I realize that the letter has been met and the rule has been met that you handed them the notice of tonight's meeting, but it seems rather odd that no personal outreach, either a letter or and saying you can contact us at X, Y, and Z on the internet, call us, stop by, something, to have taken it this far and not spoken to either of your neighbors maybe not you personally, but the current owner of the building, has not spoken to them, and which is what you said, they haven't personally contacted them.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's a bit odd. And that's a comment. And one question, the example of the iron fence, the cast iron fence that you showed us, showed on it a boot scraper, which was there when the buildings were built originally. Are you planning to also make sure that your new fence has that?
We're going to.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
We're going to be looking at ironwork parts that we can use to replicate this. And if we can do the boot scraper, we will. That is not something that we're specifically going for, but if we can, we would like to.
Okay, it's just, it's unusual to see it done on the replication of the fencing, so that I find that interesting and rather pleasant. One other thing, I'm looking at my notes that I scribbled. You talked about repointing the brick, and the mortar in the brick right now is probably as old as the building. You did mention that you would be trying to match the new mortar with the existing, so I'm just checking.
Yeah, this building has butter joints, so we would work with the contractor to see how they can clean it by hand and repoint where needed. That's what we ideally would like to do. Going back to the neighbors, we have submitted to landmarks recently, and we are still working on getting our application into DOB. Because nothing has been approved yet, the homeowner has not reached out to the neighbors yet because nothing is confirmed. So they also don't live in the neighborhood, and I think that they just recently closed, so haven't done too much in the way of speaking to the neighbors yet.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. And as far as the gate in the middle, the tradition, and when these buildings were built, and I'm sure since you work with Mr. Coburn, who I happen to know for a very long time, I think even he knows the tradition is not to have the gates in the middle, it's to have it as close to the below the stoop entrance as possible. I don't find it's acceptable to move it, so that's not a problem. So I think that's minor. And on lowering it, if you take a look at some of the other buildings, and it's not only on on Baltic, but if you take a look at the rest of the historic district, you will find that there are some two-level areaways where you walk in and it's about 4 or 5 feet. Then there's a step down to a lower level, and then there only 2 more steps to get into the lower entrance, if that exists. So there are places where you have dual level, which might be an example just to show. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Jerry. Joanna?
2 more things just came to mind. One was one of the views was a little obscured by the tree canopy. And if I'm oriented right, I think it was the one that would have shown whether we could see the bulkhead from down the block. It's number 7. And I just wanted a visual from people who have seen it in person, that just a confirmation that you really can't see the bulkhead.
I think Ty, didn't you walk out there today or yesterday?
Yeah, I did. I was out there today, walked all around both blocks, front side and back side, and I couldn't see it from any angle.
Okay, cool. And this is just a suggestion, but while we're chatting, a number of applicants have been adding accessibility features when they redo their area way. It's not required by zoning because this is a single family, But it's just something for you to think about with your client. It makes the home more visitable for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I received a chat from someone named Chris Adams, but I don't see his name here. Chris, are you on? It's about the signage and the posting.
Yeah, Chris is on the attendee side. I can move him over if you want, Dave.
Okay.
Hello, yeah, this is Chris Adam.
So did you want to add anything to your, I mean, maybe you could just share what you did put in the chat.
I live on Clinton around the corner between Baltic and Warren. I saw the notice for this meeting on Saturday evening on the lamppost on Baltic and Clinton. I didn't have a chance to make note about it, what it was, but when I saw that it was an address around the corner, I was concerned. When I went back to look for the notice on Sunday, it had already been removed. And I only bring that up because you're discussing whether or not the neighbors are aware that this meeting is even happening.
Okay.
I know for certain
Oh,
that
Margaret, there was no question asked there.
I'm
just bringing it up.
I'm just giving information because if I was a neighbor, I would be really upset that I didn't know this meeting was happening.
Okay. Ty, are there other, is there anybody else here from the community who wants to share something about this project?
Yeah, I do have another, well, no, someone had their hand up, but they, okay. It doesn't look like it. Anyone on the attendee side, if you want to speak, please raise your hand. We'll put you on the other side.
There's a Douglas Hanau.
Yeah, Douglas, I'm promoting you now to the panel.
Okay.
And Rudy Camuth, you're next.
Yeah, hi, I'm Douglas Hanau. I live a block and a half away in the Warren Place Mews. My house is on Baltic. I heard about this meeting on Facebook, on Twitter, and posted in the neighborhood. I support them doing this work, especially the solar panels, because there are not enough solar panels in this neighborhood. And the fact that us homeowners have to go through this arduous, ridiculous process to save the planet is it's unconscionable to me. My children and my family want to put solar panels, but my parapets are so tiny, I can't. So we need to put them everywhere in the neighborhood. And I think this is a great place to start. And I really think if every owner has to go through this process every time, we'll never address climate change in this neighborhood. And that would be a real crime. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas. Ty, is there someone else up?
Yeah, I just promoted Rudy, I think it's Camuth. I'm trying to promote them to the panel. Rudy, you should be getting a pop-up on your screen saying that I'm promoting you to the panel. If you want to speak, that's the best way to do it. If not, please put your hand down.
After Rudy, I'll call on Jerry, but if there are other community members who want to talk, please let Ty know. Rudy, are you going to be saying anything?
I'll try one more time to promote Rudy. Rudy, why don't you put what you want to say in the chat and we'll figure out, we'll read it out loud. If not, please lower your hand.
All right, well, let's do that. Jerry?
Oh, I was about to make a motion if there are no more comments.
I think Van has his hand up, so let's call
Okay,
on Van
That's,
first.
I'll wait.
Okay.
Just a couple little things. So one on accessibility, I assume you, whoever made the comment was referring to wheelchair accessibility. So I'd like to support that as well as, generally the statement that we should be doing that, but also to keep in mind that accessibility extends way past wheelchair access. So which for the large part hasn't been addressed by us or pretty much anyone. So just to keep that in mind. And the other part about someone had mentioned about the process of putting solar panels. So just to kind of defend ourselves on the board here or on the committee, none of us has ever made it difficult. And this step of presenting to the committee and to the community board is not the difficult step. I'm sorry to hear that you had a difficult process trying to do it yourself, but as someone in real estate, I can tell you the difficult part is getting companies and contractors to work with individuals. So the big market here is for corporations, and the kind of the extreme complexity and how these are structured, putting solar panels, renting the roof, making tax advantaged ways of doing that is so esoteric and opaque that only big corporations are really getting the attention from solar panel companies and installers. So I don't think we're the limiting factor in any way in trying to get solar panels on roofs. Thanks.
Thank you, Van. I would add to that, the fire department does not make it easy either. They're very restrictive. I try to do it myself. Okay, so did we get anything from Rudy, Ty?
No, we didn't.
Okay. Van, if you could put your hand down, I'll just check one more time to see if anybody else. Looks like we're all good. So Jerry, please feel
Okay,
free to make a motion.
I'm going to try. I'm going to break the motion into two parts, one for the front and one for the back. First part of the motion is for the front, and that we recommend to LPC to approve the front as presented with an addendum that we would like to see 2/2. We prefer the 2/2 window configuration. For the back, we're going, my motion is that we recommend, and this is my personal opinion, that we recommend approval with the condition that the spandrel between the lower and the parlor floor be increased in height for a clearer definition between the floors.
I will second the first motion.
It was second on the second part of the motion. Is it all one motion or is this two motions?
It's one motion. It's one motion. It's all together. I just broke it into, to clarify it, in two parts, but it's one motion.
Okay, so
I second it all.
Okay, thank you,
I'm
Glenn.
sorry. Sorry if I wasn't clear.
Any discussion? Okay, well, let's take a vote. Is anybody against this motion? Put your hand up or wave or something. Paul, Deb, and Pauline, I don't know if you're on the phone. If you object or don't support the motion, just let us know somehow. Let's see, there's somebody in the chat here. Okay, that's Douglas. Okay, any abstentions?
Ty, I support the motion, if you can hear me.
I can hear you. That's great. Deb and Paul, I'm assuming you're supporting it. I'll count to 10. All right, well, I got the 5.
Paul said he supports it in the chat.
I
Okay.
support it. Can you hear me?
Yep.
You,
Yep.
I'm here, guys. Thank you. Yes, I support it.
All right, Deb?
Yes,
You
Can you hear
support
me?
it? Yep,
yes, yes.
great. Okay, so the motion unanimously is approved. Margaret and Natalie, good luck with the project. Thank you.
Thank you for your
Natalia,
time.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. All right, well, good to see everybody. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss landmarks wise, or do we just wait till the next meeting?
Well, let's wait till the next meeting and
Did anybody get water in their basement?
Yes, from
Oh.
Ida, and maybe tonight. I'm looking
That's it.
outside. It's kind of
I
crazy.
got water in my living room.
Oh,
It's been
no.
It came through the
awful.
wall.
Oh,
Sorry to hear that, Maddie, and Joanne, I'm sorry to hear that as
Me
well.
too.
Well,
It's good to see everybody with no mask.
it is, and I'm certainly looking forward to when we get to see each other in person. Hopefully by the time the holiday season rolls around, we can have that, our typical
That-
end of the year get together.
that would be lovely. And on that note, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Before you do, what happened to the application?
What happened to the other one?
There was I'll
They
let
dropped.
David answer that. He put it in the chat.
I didn't see it.
They actually asked to postpone because they weren't sure if their mock-up was going to be good enough for us.
Okay, I didn't see any, I wasn't able to open up the, application in the Google Drive folder. I looked through the one for Baltic Street. Did anybody else have that problem?
Yeah.
I saw them.
Open up on Google Drive.
that means we're getting a reputation, you guys. The architects know they need a good mock-up.
That's the way it should be.
The other one has quite a mock-up. I'll grant them that. It's large.
Very.
No one will make a mockery of this committee.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, now we can truly adjourn. with
Now
that.
we can go. Good night, everybody. Have a
Fun
nice
month. Good night.
weekend.
You too. Thank you.